You're listening to the Soulless Minions of Orthodoxy, alternative DVD commentaries. Hello, my name is Josh, and sitting with me in the Soulless Minions studios is my brother, amigo, partner in crime, Justin. Say hello.
Hello.
So today we're going to be watching 1987's Real Men, directed by Dennis Feldman, starring John Belushi. James Belushi? Say John. It's James.
John's the dead one.
It's James Belushi. And John Ritter.
He's dead too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So if you're going to watch this movie with us, which we really hope you do, because that means you own it. And you love it, as we do. So we're going to be finding the cue point here, which Justin didn't tell me where it is.
How far in fact, it is the first black frame after the MGM logo.
Oh, it is. And that's how many seconds?
Approximately 8.
Approximately 8 seconds. So go ahead, find that point. When you hear on pause, 3, 2, 1, unpause. So, United Artists.
What kind of artists are they?
Separated?
I think they're united.
No, definitely not.
Common cause and all that.
So we're watching this movie in Pan and Scan. Fortunately, it's only been released in DVD on Pan and Scan. Crappy thing to do to a movie.
It really is a crime.
It is a crime. I have the movie on Blu-ray. It's available from Germany. You can buy it. It's a region-free disc. You can buy it on Amazon for a pretty low price. It's featureless, of course, but it's pretty good transfer, and it's widescreen. So definitely worth it if you're a fan of the film. Pillbox. There's a
certain weakness.
There's no weakness in his eyes. He's Pillbox.
So I'm sure anyone, well, maybe not necessarily anyone listening to this knows what this movie's about. Why don't you give us a little rundown on what this movie is?
You're much better at plot descriptions than I am, brother.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, essentially, we've just witnessed the murder of Agent Pillbox, who works for the CIA, and he is part of a clandestine agency that is meeting with aliens. And that particular...
Oh, when they say it's clandestine, I mean,
it's
just the CIA.
Very secret. It's very secret. It's clandestine.
Well, I know what clandestine means, but it's just... It's the CIA. It's not a special branch or anything, is it?
I feel like they're a unique thing, but whatever.
All these years you've thought that and you never told me? I'm just kidding.
Point being is that Pillbox is the point man for this government or government organization meeting with aliens, just making exchanges. He is murdered for actually reasons I'm not really clear about. But nevertheless, to replace him, they find a lookalike. In the form of John Ritter's character, who of course was played by Pillbox, or he played Pillbox anyway. And they assign James Belushi's character to escort him from point A to point B being the alien meet point. And they decide to take the long way, the scenic route, in order to toughen him up and bring him up to speed. Basically, that's it. It's a road movie with aliens at the end. On paper, I can't even fathom how anyone would sell this idea to a studio. So a CIA agent is going to escort an average Joe guy who happens to look like a dead agent so they can meet with UFOs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hard sell.
And it's a road movie. It's a buddy movie.
It's a really hard movie to even, advertise.
Yeah, right?
I mean,
is it a comedy? Is it a drama?
The trailer that comes on the disc doesn't... It's a unique kind of trailer, but it shows nothing about the movie, really.
Yeah, Yeah, that'd be a really tough sell. Really tough sell.
I love the score of this movie.
Well, it's very repetitive. There's not really that much to it.
It's so unique.
Oh, it's so unique. There's nothing like it. Nick Pirandello.
Nick Pirandello
is James Belushi. James Belushi.
This is his James Bond.
Basically. This is his James Bond. James Belushi just oozes quirky confidence.
Yeah,
and he's
think
not
that,
the least bit interested if you like him or not.
Not to put Belushi down, I really do think this is his best performance on film.
One of at least.
And Mr. Destiny, maybe.
Yeah, but it's a totally different.
Different kind of thing. But his character, his bravado in this movie is just so,
and he has a lot of it.
Yeah,
that's not your instinct when you think of James Belushi of a Bond type character,
because he's not a dashing man, you know. So
no, not really.
But he has this quality. I don't know. He just seems like you want to hang out with him.
He has a confidence, yeah, and he has a disregard for everything.
Yeah,
that is very attractive, you know, because most people when they have a disregard,
you're not gonna let me die. So
we're both Americans. When someone has that kind of
before you die,
before you die.
Anyway,
when someone has that very casual attitude, usually they're slackers. But Nick Pirandello, he's an achiever, you know, which makes him an interesting character. And so he's like Pauly Shore mixed with James Bond.
Yeah, he's a lone operator though.
Most definitely. What poison?
What's your button? Yeah, I mean, you know, Bond, you know, would rely on MI6 and all that kind of stuff, but Pirandello, he just, you know, he's a rogue, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's a legitimate agent, but he's an independent operator, that's for sure.
I thought this was like the most hilarious joke in the world.
The rocks
blowing up the car.
Just a little.
Well, because when I was really young, I didn't get it, the fact that it was a car bomb, you know, and I just thought that it just blew up because they threw a rock at it. What?
No, not at all.
See, I like it's the low tech stuff in this movie. I really enjoy. Like he just picks up a fork,
yeah,
and he starts to pick the lock, and he gets it open in like 2 seconds.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
Now, of course, this is an '80s movie, so this was Cold War. It was always the Russians, the Russians.
87, so it was a couple years before the wall fell. And dum 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 dum. Yeah, I wish they had an isolated score. You know, I'd love, even though it is kind of repetitive, like you said, it is very catchy.
It is.
They're just walking around with AK-47s. I love that.
You can do that in the 80s.
Yeah, it makes a very distinctive sound when fired.
Yeah.
Is he like this? He's crafty. You know, you're like, where'd he go?
Yeah.
And then wasn't it in Serenity when she was up on the wall but she had her legs spread out or something like that?
Yeah,
they do that same gag.
Very similar.
Yeah.
So now, can you explain to me why Pillbox was killed?
Because he was going to give them the water for the good package.
But wasn't that just like a dry run or something? Where was he wasn't actually meeting with the aliens.
No, he was. He was going to meet with them. But the traitor, you know, Nick Pirandello's boss, whatever the character's name is,
yeah,
who was in that scene, shot Pillbox. Must have shot Pillbox.
But to what end?
Well, because he didn't want that. He didn't want the aliens to.
Well, yes, but look what's happened as a result. All they've done is delay it because now they're sending Nick with another guy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess you could say they were going to do it again. I mean, they did try and kill Nick and Pillbox, but how many times do they think they can keep killing the Kuris?
I don't know. I'm trying to watch the movie, and you're trying to analyze plot. I don't know. Sorry. You've done your country a great service.
Would you like me to do it again?
Maybe later.
I know that they're all over this.
Surprisingly, this movie probably would have gotten. Is it PG-13 or is it R? Because they just showed boobs.
Well, that would make it at least PG-13. I should think.
I mean, it is a little gratuitous. They didn't have to do it, but whatever.
Yeah, but
she was hot. So.
Yeah, it worked. See, I love this.
See, Nick
is
always
steps ahead of you.
He's always thinking ahead. He's like, that wasn't the map.
I'm with them. We've got the map, and you'll never get it back.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what we're watching, we're of course quoting the movie like crazy already.
Well, if they're listening to this commentary, then they definitely know what movie.
Who are
we're
their
watching.
leaders?
I don't know. See, he's witty too. You know, that's what makes him fun.
He is, and he's just so irreverent. I don't know. All he knows is he foiled their plot. He doesn't really care.
See, I love how simple they keep it. Good package, big gun. You know, they don't even try to describe what it is. It's all in the wording. Good package means good.
Yeah.
Big gun, obviously bad.
Yeah. Very true. How do you know it wasn't Pillbox?
There's a certain weakness in the eyes.
Yeah.
He's a lookalike. The computer
like
pulled
it.
him.
Yeah, it's a very good point. This movie is very low tech, and even in its dialogue, you know, it's explanations of things.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's a strength that makes it very accessible.
Yeah. I mean, it assumes that the audience knows what kind of movie it's getting itself into. It doesn't take itself too seriously. I mean, it has fun with what it's doing.
That's exactly.
Which is why I'm really surprised that the director also wrote it, didn't he?
That I don't know.
Let's see. Yeah, he wrote and directed it, which is why I'm surprised we haven't heard more of him. You want to be sensitive to this guy's feelings?
I think this is a very specific kind of comedy. You either get it or you don't. And I feel like this is the type of comedy that tends to slip by the wayside. You know, like the line you just quoted. You want me to be sensitive to this guy's feelings?
Yeah.
That is a very specific, that's not broad comedy. And unfortunately, I think smart comedies like this tend to just fall by the wayside. I mean, the whole joke of, you know, who are his leaders? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, that's a very specific. You and I have been quoting that shit for years.
Yeah.
But it's not something that most people. I'm not saying they don't get it. They just don't find it as funny as we do. You know, it doesn't make us any better than anyone else. That's just a certain leaning of our, funny bone, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, now that you got me thinking about it, you know. Why did he kill Pillbox? I mean,
like you said, he killed Pillbox to stop the meeting so they could maybe stall and find time to.
Yeah, but he puts Nick out with.
Why would he put Nick with Pillbox? He knows Nick is the best agent ever.
He puts Nick with Bob, right? Because Bob looks like Pillbox, so they can go back out there and try again. But what was he thinking he was going to do? I mean, because all he does in the end is he comes up to Nick and Bob with a gun and says, "Okay, I want you to go out and ask for the big package."
But ultimately,
couldn't even come up to Pillbox and say with a gun and say, "Ask for the big gun." Couldn't he have done that to Pillbox instead? What?
He could have, but even if let's say Pillbox was, you know, inflexible and couldn't be turned like that, okay, fine. So he kills off Pillbox.
What makes he thinks that Nick would have been Nick's a better agent?
That's why that doesn't make sense. He wouldn't assign Nick. He would get Bob and just send Bob on his own and then tell Bob to do whatever he wants. He would be with Bob. You know what I mean? He would make up some bullshit story so Bob would do whatever he wanted to. He would never assign Nick. Nick is James Bond. You don't give James Bond.
He just does it. He did assign Nick.
No, I understand that. That's the flaw in his logic.
Oh, okay.
That makes no sense that he would do that.
Well, flex a small bike. Yeah.
You have you need a bike. We have a bike we can't use.
Yeah.
So, yeah. These guys are such dicks.
Well, Oaf's got this.
Oaf, I know from two other movies, from Roadhouse and from Batman Returns.
Sure.
Yeah.
This guy's been all over stuff.
I've seen him around too.
Yeah, he's a character actor.
Oh yeah, it's the guy from Living in Oblivion. Right?
Yeah.
The ego guy, the guy with the big ego.
Yeah,
Yeah, he looks so different here. So much younger.
Give me $250.
You know, this scene is something that it's uncomfortable because you know he's not going to get that bike, and he's being picked on.
He's being bullied. Yeah,
and I think whether or not you've been bullied in that fashion or not, it's something you can relate to. You can understand being overpowered, not knowing how to deal with guys like this, and you want him to succeed. You want him to be able to do it.
Yeah, because he's a good guy. But
he is a good guy. He was just trying to get his kid's bike back.
Yeah, I mean, but he's he's a pacifist type, so
he's not just a pacifist; he's passive.
Yeah, yeah.
He would strike out if he knew how to do it, but he doesn't know how. So he tried to talk his way through. He had the guts to go to the garage, and he was going to walk right through them and get the bike.
Yeah.
But when it got physical, he couldn't stand his ground. He lacked the confidence to do that.
Well, it's also a matter of, he didn't want to appear weak in front of his children. I mean,
well, of course,
if it had been his bike that was stolen and he had no children, I don't think he would have gone at all.
No, I don't think he would have.
No, he wouldn't.
No, it's because of his. I agree wholeheartedly, but he still did it. He doesn't know what to do. But even here, look, he still goes out there. Yeah. He's not a coward. He lacks the confidence to handle certain situations, and he goes out there swinging.
Well, which is the theme throughout the whole movie, basically. And he does. Only when he fights the clowns does he get his confidence back.
Yeah,
or does he get it?
Or does he get real confidence? To take on big situations like that.
See, he's trying.
This is pretty brave going out there doing this. If he really thought someone was out there, and especially since he's been robbed, essentially it's not unreasonable to think that there could be people out there.
That's true.
I mean, he full on takes on the top shelf here. He's using his head. Even Nick was impressed with that.
That was good.
That thing with the cabinets was terrific.
He does dry and sarcastic. Yeah. So although he's not being sarcastic, he really did mean that.
No, I mean he does say, he wanted. His boss said, I want you to build up his confidence.
Yeah, but still, he really did mean it. He's like, that was pretty good.
See, but this stuff though.
He's totally bullshitting him.
No, well, but he's like, I came across the letters you wrote your wife. Beautiful, Bob.
He's just fucking with him.
He is fucking with him, but this is good though. I think she did in Santa Barbara. What was it? They never say.
You and I did another commentary for something. Maybe you can remember what I'm referring to. Where I'm pretty sure it was a comedy, and we talked about the staying power of that particular movie, and the reason is because it didn't rely on just jokes. It relied on characters doing funny things.
I don't think this was a commentary. We were just having a discussion.
Well, nevertheless, we had a discussion about that. And this movie definitely falls into that category. It's...
Hell no! How many times have we said that?
Oh, my God.
I think we've said that in other commentaries. Now it actually makes sense.
Definitely. But, this movie has lasted so long for us and holds up on repeated viewings, not just because it's funny, nostalgic for us,
but because of these characters.
It is genuinely funny. Yes, the characters are doing funny things.
I've said this before many times. These two guys have one of the best displays of on-screen chemistry ever in cinema history I've ever seen. Yeah, I mean,
you and I have come back to this many times on that topic. Just incredibly natural chemistry, it seems like. Both guys are capable of drama, and both guys are capable of comedy.
Yeah.
And both of these characters experience both of those things. That's another reason why the movie, I believe, is as good as it is, because it's not a straight comedy. There are they're not strong ones, but there are slight dramatic beats to it. Both of these characters go through an arc, and it's an arc that is believable.
Yeah.
There's arcs in movies like The 40-Year-Old Virgin or Yes Man or whatever, Jim Carrey movies. They have an arc, but they're not interesting.
No.
These are more interesting. All Bob, like we just said, Bob
just
attains
some courage, some confidence.
That's his journey. That's all that he gains. But that's a huge step for him. Nick gains a little bit of humility and slows down a little. That's all.
It's also the kind of acerbic tough guy shell that he hides his soft core with. Mm-hmm. Not till the dominatrix brings him down.
Miss me.
Clunk. Yeah.
you know, but the characters are so well written. You know, these lines of dialogue cannot be switched from actor to actor. These are very, very specific characters, and they're thought out, and they seem to have a history, and they feel very real. And somehow these two opposites work very, very well. You know, these two opposite characters. I'd never do that.
I'd never do that.
Nick is like MacGyver in here.
Enjoy yourself. If you like helping, jump in. And yeah, he is like MacGyver. And like I said, low tech. Look, he's making a friggin' machine gun that fires nails
Out of spare parts
out of spare parts from the garage. It's got a clothes hanger on there, and it's the clip is the Band-Aid box.
Yeah, it's genius.
It looks like an AK though. It looks cool.
Yeah, it does.
Probably Bob. That's what they brought the guns for.
Genius. Genius. But did he come with no other guns? I mean, seriously.
That's an interesting
Why
question.
did he? I mean,
why
we know he has his pistol. He uses it later.
Oh, this is a great line right here. He missed you. Freaking rocket launchers. That's great.
So why don't you explain to me why you think these guys have the chemistry that they do? Try and put that into words.
It's an odd couple type thing.
Well,
you know?
definitely.
I don't know if I can put it into words, and I don't know if I want to try. It just feels right. You know, they balance. I don't know. Their acting styles, they
You saved my life, Bob.
I don't know. I don't know how to put it into words.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with Ishtar,
Bob, you are with me.
Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty, as you've said many times, felt like friends. Like in real life, felt like friends. Like they've been friends all their lives.
You really felt the history between them.
Yeah. This, I mean, no, they just met. But some people just click immediately. They have that.
Yeah. I would almost... We know that Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty, we know that they got along. We know they remained friends. He brought Hoffman into Dick Tracy. So we know that they worked well together and that they liked each other.
Yeah.
I would almost hate to know if these guys
Did not like each other.
or something, because on screen it works like gangbusters.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I would think you have to be a tremendous actor to fake this. I mean, there's just something about these two guys. And I don't know what it is. I don't know, you know, in real life, I don't know what it is. I mean, we know how good an actor John Ritter is. He is excellent.
They just play off each other well. I don't know how to put it. It's like Harry and Sally, you know? It's like those two together. Why do they have chemistry? I don't know. They just do.
Duck, get up.
You're going to be very good, Bob.
And you know, is it just me, or is it, you know, Ritter, this character could kind of be in any time frame of any movie. But this, Nick Parandello, he is an 80s character.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you will only find him in an 80s movie.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a charm of this movie. You know, this kind of guy.
Yeah.
I don't know, this is just uniquely 80s, you know. Yet timeless. I mean, it's weird.
Yeah. I mean, there's not too much.
I think because it's a road movie, that helps it be timeless.
It does, but there's not much of the 80s in it.
No, not really. Thank God they don't have, like, you know, modern day
There's no musical
music.
references or any kind of reference to anything 80s, other than the fact that it looks a little 80s.
Yeah, just because of the
That's
photography of the time.
Yeah,
but-
that's what helps keep it timeless. you
Yeah.
know? But you're right. He's very much kind of 80s spy type.
Yeah, 80s spy, exactly.
Yeah, he is like that. So.
So what?
And the fact that it's, you know, Russians, you know, doesn't
Well,
help
yeah.
either. So,
The milkman is making extra stops at your house.
so like this kind of moment where they stop the plot, you know, the Russians have chased them, fired rocket launchers at them. They stop to have this conversation. They stop to have this kind of character piece right here about Bob is his wife being harassed by the milkman.
Right. And Nick gives us a little piece of his history here.
Yeah.
You know, she's telling him about your sexual inadequacies. They're laughing their heads off about it.
He's chasing your wife through your house with your shorts on his head.
I know, Bob. I've been through that.
Your wife did that to you?
No, I'm not married. I went through it on the other side.
But it's the same thing, right?
It's genius.
Yeah.
It's just genius.
Come on, buddy.
And it's like Nick seriously has no idea that or maybe he does, that he's messing with Bob by saying those things, you know? That's kind of the beauty of Nick Parandello. You don't know if he is genuinely unaware that what he's saying is offensive or if he just doesn't care. You know, you'd never know with him because he carries himself the same way.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of hard to tell. I mean, when you think about his kind of attitude before he met Bob, you know, he acted the same way. Even like when he was fucking with the guy in the truck, you know, putting the button down in his store.
Sure.
Yeah, but yeah.
But when he says things like that to Bob about his, you know, he knows that he has to know that that's gonna like infuriate him.
Yeah, he's trying to build his confidence. You know, he's addressing his psychological state. You know, he wants him to get angry. He wants him to be aware of his surroundings. He's challenging him. He's trying to get Bob to be observant, like he is. Hi, I'm Bob Wilson.
Now what he's about to do, this is him bullshitting him, like trying to build his confidence. You know, that was really smart, you know, trying to distract him, but you can't do that all the time. That's him acting like he's trying to do that.
Yeah.
But the stuff when he had him pinned down on the table, I really think that is simply Nick's character unable to relate to most humans in the sense that they have feelings like that.
Yeah, sure.
You know, but that's the beauty of his character, you know.
Yeah.
He is so unlike us.
Well, he's trying to relate to a
situation that he doesn't understand.
Yeah, to just an average American married man, which he cannot relate to. And
so
he even said, "I've been through it on the
ludicrous
other
story.
side." You know, he's like,
thinking it's going to work.
That's how I can relate to it. That way.
Yeah.
You know?
But see, that's what I mean, though. Is he doing it because he's genuinely trying to relate, not as part of the job, or is he just like being an ass just because he can? You never know with him. No. Never know.
See, this movie has that kind of day of the week plot device, you know, where it just said Tuesday, I think. You know, they do the days of the week, you know, to mark time through the plot, which I don't have a real problem with. I mean, it's been used a lot. Right. That's fine. What mental hospital? Yeah.
Hi, honey. I can barely hear you because of the workmen. Is the hospital nice?
I'm not in a hospital.
Sweetheart, there is no
Yeah,
shame in having
Nick said that, you know, don't worry about your family. I put them with the neighbors. Still, there was a lot of activity on that street. Nobody really came out.
Well, no, I said that before when it was all going down, you know. Really, where are the rest of the neighbors?
Oh, you did? I guess I was... I think my phone was going off. I guess I missed that. But.
This is Dr. Stillwell.
But I want to assure you that he's fine.
I hope I didn't mess anything up. I hope so, too.
See, look, now, when Nick does get serious, he's kind of intimidating. He's scary.
Yeah.
And Belushi has that quality. He can do that.
You're going to feel a lot better.
And so help me God, if you're watching this movie at this point and see John Ritter's character, you're like, okay, cool. But then if you had to stop it halfway through and then someone put on the latter half of the movie where he's confident version of himself, it's like watching two different actors.
That's night and day.
I mean, that's skill to do that, and not in a bumbling, goofy way. He plays Bob in a very realistic way. A man just clearly over his head and scared, you know, but not a buffoon, just doing the best he can, you know, with limited skills. But when he becomes confident,
he was like,
he gets all serious and he starts
for a second. He's like, well, that didn't work. Now
like,
I have to do something vicious.
He's like, I'd really like to kill you, but I can't. So I'm gonna come up with something.
Well, there's a bit of like, you know, anger in the fact that he feels like he's been stuck with this guy. And I think that's definitely coming out.
Definitely.
Like that. gonna get a little hot in there.
The idea of being sensitive to his feelings,
Yeah, he
like he
doesn't
was
like-
instructed, doesn't really work for him.
No.
You didn't like it from the start. It's totally understandable. You're going to feel a lot better about it once we get to Washington.
Who keeps gas in the back of their car like that?
You know what?
Well, lucky that it was there at all.
The president. Now, isn't that going to be exciting? Don't treat
Although he
me
probably
like
put it in there. They are going.
Well,
on,
this
they
is
are
even-
going on a road trip.
Well, it's just the car they even. Well, is that the car they woke up in? He woke up. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
so
I
this is the
believe
car
so.
they were driving.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm coming out. All right, I'm willing to listen.
That's great, Bob.
They're on this location for a little while. They have this whole exchange outside, and then the Russians come over.
They're here
you
for a
They're
while.
here for quite a little while.
Yeah, they go inside the house and then they come out of the house. Yeah.
There's the gunfight. Yeah, everything goes on for a while here.
Bob, you said you were willing to listen.
Negotiating with UFOs?
Yes. Spacemen.
Spacemen, men from outer space, alien beings, UFOs. The fact that he says UFOs, I
know.
think sells the whole story.
Whose choice is something like that?
UFOs.
You know, you got to wonder.
Bob, that's what they tell the general public.
You're right.
I wonder about that. You know, is that just how he says it, or is that how he?
You know, I can't imagine anyone else selling this dialogue. I guess maybe it's because I'm just so. He just whips out the pen. He's like, "How do you expect me to believe that pen?" He's like, "From your friends far away." Yeah, right. No, I can't imagine anybody else selling that dialogue. You know, that's just what they tell the general public. La la la. You know, it's just like. You know,
See,
anybody-
even look at how he explains that. He's trying to explain it to him very matter of factly. He's completely unsympathetic to the idea that this man doesn't experience the things that he does. You know, he takes it for granted at this.
Well, that's what he even says. Like, they've been lying to you for so many years, you don't know what to believe.
right.
Yeah, he says that, so. You know, I'm like, who would have thought of this? This is so bizarre. It's like, you know, a pen hammered into a baseball flies away. I'm like, that sells it right there. You know, it's like, who would think of that? It's just,
Yeah, I don't know.
it's so simple, but yet kind of clever in the way it just sells the scene very quickly. It sells the plot right there. You know, there's no questioning after that this is real.
Is that
The inner workings of your mind. That's one of our favorite lines too. I know.
The outer space pen still writes.
The outer space pen still
I
writes.
saw that in a commercial
Yeah.
on television. They sell pens over the phone that can do that.
All right, all right, all right.
There is one other thing the
Pen does do.
You willing to watch? Now watch. Pay attention.
Hope they don't think I didn't like the pen.
See, would the pen have floated in the air without the baseball?
Of course it would have.
Yeah.
But they wanted a certain look, so they had to go
Something
nail
round.
it through, and come up with the whole writing thing first.
Sure.
Still looks neat though,
Yeah,
even
it
though it's
does.
a baseball.
But as I said, this is all they needed to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
That little story he gave, that little piece of exposition, was quick and to the point, and then they have this, and then that's it. He's on board from there on out. He never questions them again about it.
Can the pen
That's true. Yeah, he never does question the whole
No.
existence of everything.
No.
I mean, he resists here and there, but
probably think I'm in trouble or something.
he's not into he never questions it like this again. You're right. Even though he tries to run away in the fields, that's more just because he's overwhelmed.
No, it's just
But it's
fear,
not
yeah.
because he doesn't believe it.
Real collector's item, a pen like that, Bob.
And you just threw
He
it
just
in.
threw it in outer space.
Bob, you were demanding proof. I had to give you
And see,
proof.
that is something about Nick.
I hear something. Oh, what about what?
That's another element. There's a lot of nonverbal things that both of these characters do that speak of their character, if you choose to examine it that way. Nick had in his possession something from aliens,
Yeah.
and he gave it away without a second's thought to accomplish the mission.
Yeah.
And he didn't draw attention to it. It's only when Bob made a comment when he's like, I used to have a pretty nice pen, Bob. But, other than that, though, he gave it away without a second thought, because that's what he needed to do. And it's on to the next thing, He's okay with it.
Did you notice that Nick never misses a shot?
Of course.
He never misses.
Yeah.
I love it.
And usually in one shot, then they're done.
It's only in the end, though, that he doesn't kill anybody. Did you notice? He shoots like tree branches or whatnot to knock people out. He doesn't actually kill anyone. That's after he's been changed.
That's right. Yeah, he's a changed man at that point.
Was it Zenkowski? Is that how the name's pronounced?
Oh boy.
Wait. Dalowski.
Dalowski.
Their top negotiator.
Yeah.
I can't do it. It's too hard.
And she was just on hand.
Of course.
You gotta love it. Just down the street.
See, she's Russian-y. The other guys don't look Russian.
Oh yeah, she's totally Russian.
Yeah, totally. Off the set of Spies Like Us.
Right.
Your macho charm is not going to get you out of
Macho charm. There you go. That's what he has.
He has macho charm. It's more than that, though. It's irreverent.
It is, though. You're right, yeah. But he has that, though. Macho charm.
This is a great scene. Great dialogue here.
You're up against
Now Bob's kind of the third wheel in the row.
You got a pro. You know the risks.
It's like, yeah, what about Bob?
Shlopnitsky.
Shlopnitsky. Pissant little nothing.
What's a Slovnitsky?
Pissant little nothing. Don't take it personal.
All right. Bob here can take care of himself. If there's going to be any rough stuff, you can bet he's going to be the first to go.
Bob's going to be the first to go.
You give us the map and your word, you keep quiet. We forget about the whole thing.
You know, another way that this movie tends to
We don't know.
differentiate itself from your typical comedy, or at least comedies that I'm thinking of, are that it's shot and edited more like either an action movie or a drama. Like this. Look at this. This is basically 2 takes, just back and forth. Mm-hmm. You know, no close-ups, nothing like that. You know, at least most modern day comedies, you know, they cut. You know, they never stay on anyone long enough, usually because the actors aren't good enough to hold a frame like that. Unlike these guys who are constantly acting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this feels more like classic, you know, like 1, 2, 3 shots, you know, wide over the shoulder and not even really close-ups at this point anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I like that. It gives it time to breathe. It really gives you time to enjoy what these actors are doing. Take a walkie.
Yeah, you're right. I never thought about that before, but in terms of it, because it's not a very visually rich movie.
No,
and it never needed to be.
No.
Oh.
Privately, back
You gotta wonder what the budget was on this, because it couldn't have been much.
It wouldn't need to be.
No.
I mean, it's a very simple movie.
Yeah. Just sad that it didn't make any money, though.
I mean, even the set they're in right now. I mean, that couldn't have been expensive to secure that house.
No, I mean, they're using practical locations.
They
you
are.
know,
They're on the road half of the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, if not, they're in some sort of set like this, which, yeah.
It's a good tip. I got it from our
Just
boys.
rent the property for a couple days and you're good to go.
We have a White House tab. They're not going to get the contract.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere or heard something that like MGM was in financial trouble at the time, so the movie kind of got buried and didn't get a release, a proper release or something like that. So it's part of the studio's fault that it kind of got lost.
Well, I wonder if this movie would have been bigger had it been promoted differently. At least you don't smoke that much.
How about a pack a day? Won't kill you, but it'll make you very sore. Yeah. Guys by the gas can, that's smart.
Yeah, shooting his gun by the gas can. So,
yeah,
we're going to be coming up on one of the more notable scenes from the movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's so many notable scenes.
Well, yeah,
I was
but
like, well, which one?
with Bob faking shooting a gun is definitely, anyone who remembers the movie remembers that. You know,
Have you ever met anyone?
maybe
who's
one
seen
or
this
two
movie?
people like in my lifetime,
Okay.
but that's it. You and I saw that. There have to be other people because we saw this movie on rotation on HBO.
Yeah.
You know,
Bang! So that guy looks Asian.
how does this? He does, yeah. How is that guy supposed to be a Russian?
I don't know. And where does this come from? Like, who writes this?
Who not only who wrote this, but who else could pull this off?
Yeah, I
John
know.
Ritter has this ability to do this. Very few actors could do it.
See, like, I could see it written on the page and be like, that just sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
But they pull it off. They make it work, you know?
And it works like gangbusters.
Well, you know, Belushi doesn't react to it, though. He lets him do it. He doesn't seem to say anything.
What's he gonna say?
Yeah.
He needs him to believe it, I guess.
But, you know, like in any other movie, they would show, you know, Belushi's character reacting to him doing that and thinking, you know, it would milk the joke.
True.
You know?
Yeah, this movie doesn't do it. It just lets you enjoy it.
Woo!
See, even he believes it. He has no idea why this is working, but he's going with it.
Yeah.
You know, and he doesn't seem, he's not an idiot. Like, his character isn't a dunce. He's just been convinced that aliens do exist and perhaps they are helping him. From what it looks
Yeah.
like from his perspective, this damn
Yeah.
thing is working.
I must have been programmed to rest. You know, like in the movies.
What are you talking about?
I still
Bob?
think that he looks at the camera in that scene, although you don't think he does.
Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Belushi looks at the camera.
He totally does.
No, you know, the last time we watched this, you said he's like a little off.
Well, you know
But
what?
I think he
we'll
looks
see
right
when
at
it
the
comes
camera.
up. I seem to think he is.
They just break for lunch?
They just break for lunch.
Not as dedicated as we are. No incentive, no motivation.
Can we just walk away? Yeah. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Where are they? In there in like downtown LA or something?
Yeah, haven't we been discussing that for the better part of this commentary?
The location?
Have we been doing that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
What do these spacemen want?
Oh yeah, yeah. We were talking about palm trees and whatnot.
I mean, is it a good deal?
So
Yeah, I want to
here Nick is finally kind of explaining what's going on. We're halfway through the movie, and usually
We have a break here for exposition.
we have
That's
a
what
break
we're
here
getting.
for exposition. But what I like about this is that normally, I dare say in a poorly written movie, you would have gotten all this in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the movie. But we're halfway through, and we are obviously Bob. You know, we the audience are Bob, and we learn this information when he learns it. You know, that's kind of interesting. You know, we're being taken on the ride with him, and I do like that. Only halfway through, do we really have any idea? I mean, we know he's supposed to, you know, meet and do something, but we don't really know the guts of it. So finally, we get it, and I like that.
all life on Earth will be dead in 5 years?
Well,
And it is kind of a neat little story idea.
it is a good story idea.
Simple.
But it's very it's simply done is in this part right here. It's explained once here, very casually by Nick, and it's never talked about again. This is why they're on this mission. He's explaining it, right? You know, they want a glass of water, and we need the good package to reverse this, blah, blah, blah. It's handled probably in the span of about 2 minutes,
Yeah.
and that's it.
And it's all we needed. We didn't get any
Some
more
people
than
might
what
have
we
tried to
needed.
make it heavy-handed, but, you know, Nick, you know, coming out of Nick's mouth, that would have felt wrong. Nick
Yes.
is not the kind of character to do that. Look how casual he is walking. Well, you know, he's just very at ease with himself.
Coincidentally, just down the street from his parents'
Parents'
house.
house, yeah.
There's always one place.
But no, I agree.
And didn't we have the idea that perhaps, you know, this scene felt as if it could have played with or without, like it was kind of bridging the two sequences, the second act and the third act.
Well,
and it felt like maybe it was inserted.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have talked about that before, that this scene, while a good scene, it almost feels like it was maybe shot later or something, when they realized they needed some sort of transitional scene from one to the other. Because
I mean, you can go from that point to the point after this. You can do that.
You can.
I mean, they do get the car.
Maybe they needed it for padding, because
it was too short.
The movie itself is already under 90 minutes.
Right.
You cut, this is like 5 minutes. So, yeah, you cut this out and you got just barely an 80-minute movie. So maybe it was just for padding. I don't know.
Or maybe they felt they needed just a funny comedic beat. Perhaps.
I really think it was for padding, because nothing in this scene pertains to the plot.
To the plot. There's absolutely
every other scene in the movie does, whether it be character development or plot development. Nothing.
The only thing that
they get the car
that progresses the story is the fact that he gets the car.
But if you don't see the scene, you just assume he stole another car, because that's kind of Nick's style.
You could think that.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, because the scene, I mean, it's funny as it is kind of thrown in there. It feels a little bizarre,
Honestly, if ever I sit down to watch this movie, I skip it.
Oh, you do?
Because it really does not feel connected to the movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it's just on in the background, I don't care.
Well, it does fit in a way, if you remember, in the beginning of the movie, right after, he saves Bob right outside his house. They go into the neighbor's house, and they have the whole discussion about the milk. There's, your milk containers were half full, and then he's like, I've been through that, Bob, on the other side. They pause to have this emotional connection.
Right. But, I mean, are you trying to say that you think that scene could have had an inserted nature to it?
No. I'm just saying that right after they had the plot going, they stopped to kind of have this aside, just as they do here. Although that relates more to the story than this
Way
does.
more. That develops character, and
yes,
it sets up the stuff with Bob later.
I know. I'm just saying that it's in similar vein, but yeah.
I get what you're saying, but I still think that this may have been tacked on into the script after the fact. Maybe while they were still shooting, and they realized, crap, we need this, so they just kind of threw a scene together.
But not Dad. He knew what to do.
Him to experience a side of life that he missed.
Yeah, this is unfortunately, this movie that there's no information on it. I would love to know if
I'd love to
we're right
to provide a commentary that has some background information on it, but there's really nothing to be found. There's some tidbits on the IMDb, but anybody can look up,
and you never know.
I think it says on there something like it was shelved, I think, for a little while because MGM was having some financial troubles or something like that, and that kind of
they seem to have that.
Yeah, and that's why it kind of had a hard time in the theater. It didn't really catch on with people. It wasn't heavily marketed or anything like that. But
this is one of those tricky movies. Just that it's not. I would not say this is a universal kind of comedy. This is a character-driven comedy. I don't want to say dark comedy or black comedy, but it is. The humor is in Nick's sarcasm. The plot is relatively serious, but the humor is really Nick and Bob and their Abbott and Costello routines. Which are played seriously. We find them funny. You know what I mean? And that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, you never have any doubt that Nick and Bob will be successful. It's because the story is not about that. It's not about getting the good package. That's just getting from point A to point B. That's to add drama to their journey. But it's about the two guys. It's about the arcs they go through.
See, now look at this. Here they are continuing the
conversation,
the exposition.
Right.
I really don't think that scene with the mom was supposed to be there.
Right.
Those two scenes. This is like how it was supposed to be. I just think
maybe there was like a cut scene where they showed him boosting this car, and for some reason, because you notice they're sitting on boxes.
Yeah. All the more reason to think this.
Like for some reason
he
boosted a car that didn't have seats, or maybe there was a scene that just wasn't funny.
Maybe.
And it went too long, and so they after principal photography, they went back and shot that. Oh, we need a funny beat.
Yeah, maybe
Something like that.
Maybe because there's obviously something like a decision, last minute decision made there.
Package with the 3 different colored luncheon meats look good. No, thank you. Here, hold on.
Happy pie.
Happy pie. Huh?
But yeah, I think that's one reason why this movie didn't catch on, you know, the way we think it should have. Just because it's a kind of comedy that, you know, I'm not saying we're, you know, like elite film goers or anything. It's just we identify, or not identify, we are drawn to this style of comedy, you know. There's other kinds of comedy that we're not drawn to. This kind we really like. Because in my opinion, I mean, this is just me as a personal film watcher, you know, these are the kinds of movies that hold up 20 years, 30 years down the line, because it doesn't revolve on
Yeah, there's nothing of the 80s in this movie.
No, not really. And it's human problems, you know. Like I said, it's the type of comedy. Types of comedy age. You know, this kind does not. In my opinion, anyway.
Like certain like Stripes.
I never really liked
Caddyshack.
Stripes. Caddyshack, yeah, I guess is kind of like that. You know, the older Caddyshack gets, I think it starts to date, and the humor is, although there's still certainly this is universal humor. This is timeless humor. Whether you like it or not is up to you. But
Yeah,
I think
there's
there's
certain, you know, visuals that, you know, I mean, Belushi's hair, you know, that's...
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm literally
No, I know what
talking-
you meant.
yeah.
I know what you meant. But there's some things that do kind of date it a little bit in that respect, visually, but I have to shoot you. I saved your life. I never will.
I never will.
But, you know, take a movie like...
Wait here. Be right back.
I know this isn't a fair example. You know, I really need to think of a movie from the 80s to compare this to. But just looking at a modern comedy, look at something like Knocked Up and 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Well, you're picking, you know, Apatow films here,
it's
which
just-
have are you know,
those are a flavor themselves. I
Yeah.
get that. But in 20 years,
they won't.
they're not going to play nearly as well as this plays 20
No.
years after,
Well,
30
yeah,
years after
no,
the
yeah,
fact.
they're too much of their time.
Exactly. And this doesn't feel of its time, you know, because of the type of comedy that it is, you know.
I think being a road movie kind of helps too.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
All birds, all children.
It didn't say birds, it said birdies.
I said birdies.
All birdies.
All the little birdies.
Left him with the mess.
So Nick is testing him right here because he knew he was going to run off. But what he's surprised by is his reaction.
I don't know.
Or is he faking to be surprised when Bob comes back and is actually angry with him? Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see when that plays. I mean, like, I don't know if Nick necessarily knew he was going to run off right here. He was just prepared.
You're always prepared. Just go. Yeah, but see, he moved the car. So he was obviously, he did that on purpose.
Yeah, maybe he did. But he did leave him with the mat. I guess that you could say that's part of the test. See if he'd accept the
Well,
responsibility.
yeah, of returning the map, you know,
Yeah.
getting back on mission despite his fear. I guess
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
just getting him to face that fear and realize his responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
It's this, you know, reaction that you don't know if, I'm not sure if Nick was really prepared for, if he's playing it off as if he doesn't really expect him to act that way. See, because he's getting kind of like in his face and you're like,
Yeah, I don't think he saw that coming.
okay.
You know, he may have hoped that Bob would have, you know, come back and whatnot, but I don't think
Oh,
he
so I'm
expected-
sorry, I got scared and, you know.
Yeah, I don't think he expected this sort of passion from him.
It's got to be so hard to act when you're that close to somebody else's face because, you know, in life, when you're talking to someone that close, it's weird.
It's uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable, you know.
Yeah.
And as an actor, you know, I guess they get used to it. But
Well, yeah, you know, they're trained, and it's probably uncomfortable for them in the moment. But when they see it on screen, they're like, that's why we're doing it. That's why, you know, this works. Just look at it. Yeah, you know, that double take look that Nick did. I think he realized, hey, you know, whether it be me or his own journey, but Bob seems to be really on board with this. You know.
I'm sorry.
I think maybe maybe that double take was just him, noting that, you know, maybe he's not as
insightful
weak
as he thinks.
Yeah, you know, he's just maybe he has a little bit more strength than I thought. You know.
Mm-hmm. Like he's saying, you know, I underestimated you. I think that's genuine. You know, he actually likes him now. You know.
Well, I think he's getting to like him.
Well, yeah, he's definitely he's opening up to the possibility of thinking of him as a human being and not just a asset.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
You were watching me?
Yeah. Yeah. See, he let him in. He let him into his process.
Yeah,
that's
true.
That's kind of like a thing for Nick. You know, normally he doesn't. You know, just like with the boss in the beginning. You know, who are his you know, somethings. I don't know.
Who are his leaders? I don't know.
You know, he just shrugs it off, but he actually kind of let him into his mind for a second there.
Don't.
What's this?
Thursday, Indianapolis.
Oh, we got to get the glass. Put the water in.
You know, when doing commentaries like this, you become keenly aware of
hypersensitive,
hypersensitive, and you know, not that we weren't aware of this, but this is definitely one of those movies that is you know, each scene is not so much standalone, but
it's like a mini movie.
They're like a mini movie. You know, not all movies play like that. You
No.
know, sometimes they'll have a quick snip here, a quick snip there, but this is like each scene is like 5 minutes long, roughly, and each one is its own little thing. You know, there's the whole bit in the car, and then there's the bit out of the car. Now they're doing this, and then they're going to be in the bar. You know, and it's all little sections unto themselves.
Holy shit! Clown attack!
Cloud attack. I mean, this scene plays, but it's always been a little goofy.
It is. It does stand out in its goofiness because of the clowns.
But it's the only thing that makes it work is the fact that Nick takes it so seriously.
He does.
He doesn't play it off as silly like this. Well, this is weird, huh? They're dressed as clowns. You know, it's like, you know,
he explains it.
He explains, but he's very cool. And he's like, okay, this is very
but
dangerous.
He looks concerned.
Yeah,
know?
he does.
You don't usually see Nick look concerned like that. He looks more concerned here than he did when the Russians were attacking him in the beginning.
Next to me, he's the best agent in the world.
The way they're doing this is beautiful.
The way they're doing this is beautiful. You know, I wonder. Dennis Feldman wrote and directed this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he had these guys in mind, because
you know, that's a good question.
This,
you know, often writers will say, you know, I had these two in mind when they were writing it, and it's
just
I don't know.
You know, Belushi's delivery of this stuff. I mean, I can't picture anyone else doing this. Now, nothing against Ritter, but other people could have done what Ritter did. Not as well, maybe, but they could have done it. But it takes us. I don't think you can even fake the kind of sarcasm that Belushi has. That's Belushi. That's his personality in life.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen him enact in plenty of other things. He's basically this guy, you know, just not as witty or not a secret agent, but I mean, he's always sarcastic. This is his delivery of lines in life, you know, and it's like they were tailor-made for him. So I have to wonder if he had either Belushi or both of them in mind.
I gotta disagree with you. I don't think that Ritter's performance is as interchangeable as you say. I don't.
I don't mean to make light of it.
I know you don't mean to make light of it, but I think that he portrays it in a way that I don't think a lot of other actors could.
I'm not saying a lot could, but I'm just saying Belushi has, like I said, it's like these lines were made for him. You know.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but
he's just a genius.
See, it almost looked like he was dead in the camera on that one too.
Kinda.
Yeah, we were talking over Yeah, we were just talking over. No, that hasn't happened yet. No, that's after this part. I'm sorry. Where he actually looks at the camera.
Yeah, that comes
that's
up
after this.
After the programming.
I always loved his kind of acting here. He's like, as he gets up.
But even
But you can't recreate that that chemistry, and whether or not that Feldman had that in mind when he was, if he was writing it for these two specifically. I mean, they'd never been in any other movie together, have they?
Not that I know
these
of.
two.
Yeah, this is the magic of filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are, what director you are, Spielberg down to Kevin Smith. You simply cannot predict what will happen when two people are on screen together. You can't. Case in point, look at all the examples of.
Wait, here it comes. And right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was totally fourth wall.
I'm not a Russian agent? Of course not. How can you believe that? That's ridiculous. And I took out all these guys? Well, yeah, that part's true. I took them all out?
What was I saying?
Boy, I'm pretty amazing.
What was I saying?
Would my kids be proud
About
of
the
me if
fourth
they
wall?
knew their dad
No,
was
before
part of
that.
the CIA All-Star team?
Oh yeah. Just look at all the different film examples of characters in a movie like in love, yet the actors hated each other. It doesn't. Sometimes it does not matter what's going on personally and behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Something about the camera sees two people.
Yeah.
And it works. Like Richard Gere and Deborah Winger were known for not getting along.
Sure.
In Officer and a
but
Gentleman,
they
yet
play together.
you would never think it to watch it.
No.
I believe there was issues between
So-
Deborah Winger and Shirley MacLaine.
Oh, you just missed that beat where he hit him back.
Oh yeah,
And he's like, "Hey."
he said, "We're not there yet."
Yeah, no, he's like, clearly not. But that was good. I mean, that little nudge he gave Bob was nice. That
Yeah,
was
exactly.
a
That
nice
he
touch.
really is giving in to Bob.
Down on the corner.
Howdy in the street. I love how Bob's got his shirt all buttoned up. It's the same shirt he's been wearing, but suddenly
Every time I hear that song, I know it's Creedence.
Creedence Clearwater.
Before I even knew who it was, whenever I heard that song, it just always brought me back here.
Oh, of course.
Every single time.
You need to take time to learn and grow and develop a decent relationship.
To come around to just how invaluable Ritter is in this movie. That he can portray Bob how he's been,
Yeah.
and then now how we see him in this scene.
Look at his body language.
Utterly convincing.
Yeah, it's totally changed
If
from
you
when he
ca-
thinks he's taken out that CIA All-Star team.
Yeah.
And look at him the way he's sitting on that chair, the expression on his face, the way he's holding his
You know what he's
shoulders
doing?
up.
You know what he's doing? He's doing what Chris Reeve did as Superman.
Yeah.
He is doing the difference between Clark and Supes, and just as well, because you almost believe these are two different characters. He does it and there are scenes that bridge them. It's not like he just
he went
flipped.
he went from Bob to Pillbox. Almost,
Exactly,
He
exactly.
became that agent that he never was. Almost.
Precisely.
The best looking guy in the place.
I don't know if I could ever use that line.
What's that?
You just attracted the best looking guy in the place.
Well,
See
yeah.
this. I've always admired this scene.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to. If
Yeah.
I was being approached by two guys who were much bigger than me, could I actually talk them down with just a look? Could I put the fear in their eyes?
Not so much.
The way he does it right here, and look at that. He looks.
What he's
then-
doing is he's not blinking.
Right.
And he's waiting for them to blink. They're not so much intimidated by him as much as they are. It's almost like he's the alpha now, so he's.
Well, yeah. It's
they're
who's gonna back?
respecting
Who's gonna back down first?
Yeah,
and
there's no real threats.
well,
going
the
on.
way he said, well, are you gonna do something about it?
Yeah.
If I have to. He says,
Yeah.
if I have to, and then he looks at them, and they're like, they weren't expecting
That's
that.
exactly, and
So-
he held it with the look.
Because guys of that size aren't used to being challenged.
Exactly.
So when they are, they back down, and I'm like, would that work for me?
Exactly.
Like, I don't know.
I've told you before that I've been in situations not exactly like that, but to where I made in the moment. I made the conscious choice.
Smooth.
He still hasn't drank.
Whenever I take a shot, I do that. Smooth.
Yeah. But in reality, that has happened to me, and I've made the conscious choice, even though I was scared. And I'm like, if it does go down, I am gonna get my ass kicked. But I'm like, maybe I can bluff my way out, and I've done that, and I've made sure to project a lack of fear and confidence. And you'd be surprised how it gets you out of something, because people either respect it, or I don't want to say they like in those instances for me, I don't want to say they feared me, but they were aware that I was, at least from their perspective, not afraid of them. So that made them less eager to get into some sort of confrontation, because they just didn't know, just didn't know. It's human nature. If you smell weakness, it's almost like you want to strike, But if you, just like with a dog, if you project confidence to the dog, they're less likely to attack you, and they'll just walk off because they're like, I don't really know what I'm getting into here, so I'll just play it safe. Looking pretty good in that outfit there.
This is going to be a tough one.
He's got that dorky.
That's the second time he used
smile.
that line. He did that with Bob.
What did he say?
This is going to be a tough one, isn't it?
Oh.
He said, he said the same thing to Bob. He said, this is going to be a tough one right in the beginning when he first picked him up. And this situation completely breaks him.
Miss me.
Pop.
That looked like it hurt, too.
It did. Well, they, the Foley work.
Well,
really
of course,
helped,
but,
too.
Still, that thing did hit him in the head.
Yeah. It's kind of like, with
He just
pops up out of nowhere. Go for it.
His confidence is insane. Yeah,
it kind of reminds me. I don't know why I'm making this comparison, but it kind of reminds me of Fearless. The movie. After he experienced the fear of death,
right?
He had no fear of death. After he went through that, just as Bob went through that, not the fear of death, but the fear of dying, but. He went through something that altered his perception.
You're one of those girls
Yeah,
that are a lot
yeah.
different at the office than you are at home, aren't you?
It's a shame we
It hurts. It hurts.
It's a shame we haven't seen Ritter or don't see Ritter in more roles like this. He's certainly appreciated for his skills, his acting skills. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have seen him be given more opportunities like this movie that really showcase what he's capable of.
Actually,
he's not just what's his name in Three's Company? Jack Putter or he's not just that guy. And this guy has layers.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I would have liked to have seen him playing a CIA character like that,
like a serious one,
like the way he's playing Bob right now. Seriously, I'm like, he could work if he played it dark. That could work. He could play that. I'm like, that would have been really interesting.
Mm-hmm. And then look at him in the Santa Claus movie. Not Santa Claus. Billy Bob.
Sling Blade?
No, where he's the department store Santa.
Oh,
Bad
Santa,
where he's the store manager. He's a genius in that movie.
Yeah.
Genius. Totally disappears into that character.
But I actually, I would have liked to have seen him as just a very straight, dark, non-comedic character.
Yeah, I would too. I would have to. Well, actually.
He could do it.
I wouldn't say he was dark, but look what he did in Sling Blade. He played
but if he played like a serious version of the character Nick is in this movie, that would have been really cool.
He could.
If he's a guy who carries a gun with like a silencer on it or something like that.
Oh yeah, you know what? I'll bet you if we check his IMDb, I'll bet you he did play something like that. We just haven't seen it.
Maybe.
Nothing. Ready to go?
And it's already flipped on us.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
This woman has become very important to me, Bob.
Yeah, you'll notice in the body language right there, the shift where he's upright, sitting upright, to now he's slumped.
And
He's
Bob's
like,
driving.
you think she'll call? How should I know? You know, he's gone to acting like kind of a pestered parent. You know, like, when are we gonna get there? You know?
Yeah.
And the look on Bob's face, you know, and the look that smile on Belushi. I think I love her, Bob. If I don't pay attention to my feelings, who will?
So I think I should get off the mission.
And if there's any scene, you know, where
Now, do you?
yeah,
In the cornfield scene,
yeah,
Nick set that situation up to kind of
Yeah.
see what Bob would do.
yeah,
And maybe for two reasons: to test him, to see what he was dealing with, and to see if he's coming along. You know. But this, when he said, you know, I went off the mission and all that, do you think this is part of a greater plan of Nick, or if he's genuinely kind of like, I'm kind of
no, I don't think this was definitely not part of his plan. I don't think so.
that you think this is genuine?
Look at you. I've never seen Nick react like this before.
He's vulnerable.
He's definitely kind of put in his place in this scene. And
No, I
the
agree.
expression on his face, right here, even when he holds back, you know, well, I have you know, it's like, yeah, I'm very grateful for that. He doesn't
this
want to
part,
shatter it for him.
Yeah, but here he's acting here for Bob's sake.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of it, I'm inclined to think it's genuine.
Yeah, I've always thought it was genuine. I never thought it was anything
You know, he
else.
snapped at it for a second. Well, I'll have you know, because he realized, no, he still needs Bob, you know, to be Bob.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe, I don't think it was in any way faked. You know, I think he, you know, I don't think this was a test for Bob.
I love that line. I got you one of those pies that you like, and I'll use that line if I walk into a room or out of a room suddenly. If I'm suddenly walking in on someone, I got you one of those pies that you like. Oh. And they look at me like, what? Piss that little nothing.
Now that I use a lot.
Yeah.
A piss that little nothing. Now they're in Washington, I believe, right?
Yeah, they're really in Washington.
Yeah, really. Now, prior to that, they were clearly in L.A. up until just
Like
now.
that could have been anywhere. Really.
No, you can tell it's L.A. Across the country, just overnight. He still has the happy pie.
Well, it's got a guaranteed shelf life of 3 years.
Yeah.
You can stay good in there for a while. Where did you get the change of clothes?
I don't know. Good question.
I never thought about it before
Well,
now.
yeah.
You're a little late to be having a birthday party?
Yeah, a little bit.
Son of a bitch walking around like that's his ass getting shot. You know, this movie really is short.
It is.
So we're at an hour and 11, almost on an hour and 12, and we're already at the end.
Yeah, which goes
I
relatively
mean, plus
quickly.
credits. Is this thing even break 90 minutes?
It doesn't. No, I want to say it's like 87 minutes.
Okay.
With credits and everything, it's 85 minutes.
Wow.
That's why I'm telling you. I think the scene in the house was
thrown in to pad it a little
yeah,
bit.
because I mean it's barely a movie without that. Some animated movies are longer.
What are you doing here? I was worried about you.
Wasn't like whether or not this scene
You know, you're something, Bob.
is on a set,
Coming in
because
here,
sometimes it feels a little fake.
It does, but
going up against guys.
maybe that's just
Like clearly in the scene in Spies Like Us, you know, what's
They
it
were
big
on a
for?
set,
You
yeah.
know, they were on a set clearly. But here, like, maybe like it's the lighting.
It
making
could just
look a
be the
little
lighting, you
fake.
know.
You know, maybe
it could be. It could be.
because yeah, some of this it's not. Yeah, it's clearly not
I ran off on you.
set up like to be illuminated. Like here, like there's too much illumination in the shot to be by just the moon alone. Maybe
Well,
that's
yeah,
what it is.
Yeah.
It just looks a little too bright. Maybe that's what makes it look a little phony.
Hell no, I could use your help.
Yeah?
It could be that. It's hard to say.
You never want to carry your weapon like this.
This piece of advice I've always remembered, haven't you? Of where to properly put your gun, just in case you're
I've
shot.
thought about it. Yeah.
This kid is shot on the right. You can always pull with your left.
That is a big help.
Because it's a big
Go in
help.
there and take care of the situation.
Hey. Anything you say, partner. One thing, though.
I'm inclined to think this is not a set. This is not a movie that had, the kind of budget to build a fake forest.
Yeah, in case they shoot at you.
Look at that. That's real.
Yeah, that's clearly real.
I think it was just, certain shots seem to have an artificial nature. This is real. Now, I seem to recall bringing up with you before the oddity of what's actually going on, because Nick is escorting Bob to replace Pillbox to get the water. Right. We know that Nick's
Mahoney.
boss.
Poor Mahoney. We never got to know him.
And I always thought Mahoney was kind of treated shitty by Nick.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. He's like, well, thanks, man.
Hey, yeah,
I
let's
just
try to
died
help
for
you.
you.
Yeah.
And you pointed out that Nick is no longer killing.
No.
He's just wounding and he's not shooting anyone directly, which
Well,
was a
one
good
of the
observation.
things. Well, one of the things I wish I would have mentioned was in the beginning when, when he's outside the hotel on the fire escape and he's shooting the Russians,
yeah,
and of course he hits them all with
they're
one
all
shot.
missing. He gets them.
He hits them all with one shot, but the little tool he uses his shoelace,
Yeah.
and he tosses it up, and it's like Star Wars.
I know,
almost.
it's like impossibly long.
But his shoelace, it's just like little low-tech Bond type stuff like
Yeah,
that. I just
yeah.
love that. But anyway, sorry.
Well, I was just saying that we know that Nick's boss is a traitor, and that he wants the big gun. So, what's the logic in sending Nick, theoretically his best agent?
So he didn't look like he just stepped out from behind something. It just looked like he was. Yeah, he could have been behind that tree because they just walked right up to him. So anyway, yeah. So sorry.
But why would the boss send Nick to escort Bob? Because Nick's the best agent ever. Why send your best agent? Because you're gonna have to confront him basically, and he has a reasonable chance of success. You don't want him to be successful. He would send one of his own, cronies to go with Bob. That doesn't make any sense.
And why would he? And why would all these men who are clearly working for, I forgot his name.
The boss.
Yeah. Why would they be trying to kill
Pillbox.
Yeah. Why would they be trying to kill him? They need him to get the
Bob fake Pillbox.
Yeah. They need him to deliver the water.
Excellent. See, there's another point. Yeah. It doesn't make any logical sense. It doesn't hurt the enjoyment of the movie, but the bad guy's motivations are they don't really add up.
Yeah, like how?
Time's up.
Bang.
I mean, right now he's telling Bob, you're going to go out there and you're going to ask for the big gun.
Yeah.
If he never called upon Nick, he's the one that turned Nick on to Bob in the first place. If he had just went to Bob himself and said, your government needs you to do this, there would be no movie. They should have given.
No. I mean, maybe he felt that Nick was the only one who actually could convince Bob to do that.
That's too thin. That's too thin.
I don't know. Because he did give him directives. Where he said, I want you to build up his confidence. He said, you want me to be sensitive to this guy's feelings?
All of which goes against what he does. Why would he want Bob to be built up in any way? He needs Bob malleable because he needs Bob to do what he.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I don't want to. I mean, yeah, I don't want to talk over this scene. I've always enjoyed this scene.
Yeah, I love how simple it is.
Yeah, the lights and the fog and
it's still. It's everything. You've used the word low tech more than once.
Yeah,
and or words, and I think that's very appropriate to the
and
movie.
The simple choice, and I love the vocabulary. Good package, big gun. It's clearly one's good and one's bad.
Yeah,
and
it's just simple. Look at how he's looking at him.
Yeah,
I love that look,
and the fact that it's just a glass of water.
Yeah, what are they going to do?
I mean, who would have? I mean, that's just so brilliantly simple. Like I couldn't imagine. Like some people might try to make a thing out of it.
Yeah, they would.
We want all human knowledge or something. No, just water.
Yeah,
just
don't
water.
tell us why.
No,
don't tell us why.
It doesn't mention why.
It's not important. It's more interesting.
They're like, do they have water on their planet? No, I don't get it.
Who knows? And
Thank you.
this guy, I like this guy.
Yeah, and his thank you always feels so genuine. Like,
Yeah.
Just the meeting is what they wanted, not the
If
water
this guy
itself.
had been cast wrong,
yeah,
it would have destroyed the end of the movie.
yeah,
But his casting was perfect. He's just like Klaatu in
Day of the Earth
Day of
Stood
Still.
Still. And the fact that
he
they
has
don't
an odd otherworldly quality
kind of look to him. Yeah,
Yeah,
and the fact that they don't show the ship, which was never necessary,
No.
would have completely killed the scene.
it would have totally.
Just the light is all you needed.
I know that's what I'm saying. It's genius. You could make this movie today on a shoestring budget, and it very possibly could be a tremendous hit. But it just shows you don't need effects. You don't need big flashy things. This movie is totally engaging, and by today's standards, made for peanuts.
I know we've made the same comment about like Ishtar or The Experts. That, if they just remade it in modern times, that it would still work. And I wonder if that's actually true, because we're saying it again about this movie.
Maybe. I think so.
I mean, I think it would. Why not?
Everything's fine now, son.
You might have to change the Russians, but
Well, sure, but I mean, other than that, don't touch a thing.
It's good to be home. Hey, you kids wait here.
In a lot of movies, they would have a character do a flip like this from the, inept guy to the confident guy,
yeah.
but it wouldn't feel earned. This movie brilliantly made Bob's transition feel earned. It feels real,
And I love how we go from this very kind of serious confrontation to, haven't we been getting a little too much milk lately? We return to this plot point, this subplot of his character arc that was introduced way back when, about him getting too much milk, about the milkman.
Yeah. You thought that was the throwaway. Nope.
And you're like, oh, this is what we need to complete it. And she just
making a lot of
suggestive remarks.
I wonder if they're Mormon. They seem so goody two shoes.
But he just jumps right into it, right into the milk thing. And he's like, I'm going to go take care of this.
I love her. She's like, you're not going to do anything violent,
are you?
As if, does she even know her husband?
Yeah.
I love this scene.
Yeah, I mean, they get their comeuppance, but he's got to get his revenge.
For a movie that's under 90 minutes, there's a lot in it. 2 characters are developed and go through an arc. There's a lot of little subplots going on like this. Not bad.
Maybe that's why it feels bigger.
Maybe.
Or longer than it
It's
is.
impressive in its structure and its efficiency.
Look, we don't want any trouble.
Here!
Yeah, this was definitely the way to go out. Look at that.
Well, I mean, the milkman is the way to go out.
Well, that's the funny tag, but I mean, this is the emotional satisfaction.
I'm really proud of you.
Well, I hope it's not because of what I
I mean,
did.
the bike's painted, but still, he got it back.
But he got it back. That's the important thing.
Good girl.
Although he did tell the guys, yeah, you're gonna
And
pay
this
to have
right
it
here,
repainted.
Nick just pops up.
Pops up.
Hey, how's it going? He doesn't even question where he came from. He just walks into the scene.
Yeah.
I like that kind of movie device. That's cool.
Well, from Nick, you just
And then the ladder comes down out of nowhere. Well, I gotta go. I'm gonna exit the scene now. That kind of thing.
yeah.
Because it just really just drops in. You're like, where did that come from? You don't know what it is yet. Like, oh, okay.
And she can just fly a helicopter.
Of course she can. She's a dominatrix slash secretary slash
She's
pilot.
a teacher, I think. Yeah.
Dad, that guy's flying away
Don't
now.
make a big
Big
thing.
thing out of it.
Don't make a big thing out of it. Son.
Hey, Bob! Bob! Your house looks great from
And
here!
it's a good way to exit too.
It is.
For Nick, the only way he can really go out, you got to make a grand exit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Try to be more sensitive.
Dun, 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 dun. Sometimes he said, sometimes all it takes is a word or a look. I'll take care of it. Oh, clearly he had that in mind the whole time.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, any final thoughts here?
It's a great movie. I love it every time I see it. It never gets old. It's played ever since I was a kid. It plays now. It loses nothing. We said that about Clue,
Yeah.
How it doesn't lose anything. It either remains continuously entertaining or just improves, and you notice things you hadn't before and appreciate it in different ways. And I think it's a great movie in need of being discovered,
rediscovered. Yeah.
There's plenty of people out there like us who do appreciate it, I'm sure, but I think there's more people that just need to see it. It's a unique movie that has a very interesting premise and a very interesting way of telling its story that you don't see a lot in movies these days. Hopefully we'll see it again, but I just would like other people to watch this movie, give it a chance.
I agree.
And maybe our listeners out there, who when we put this commentary out, they'll watch the movie. Like, what is Real Men? I got to see it. Maybe they'll watch it now and then listen to our commentary. Who knows? That would be great.
I would love to get some listener feedback to see if anyone has
seen this
tried
movie.
The experts,
Or the experts
as a result of our relentless talking about it. It's a little harder to find than this. This is available on DVD. The experts is not, but little Google search and you could at least find an AVI file watch of it.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, if anyone's been turned on to that or Ishtar because of our constant yammering about it. But much like a lot of the movies that we've talked about that we've done commentaries on, this movie's beautifully cast, and the movie is made based on its casting. I don't think we'd be watching it today if it wasn't for the casting of this movie. It's just movie magic. Put the right people together, and this can be what happens. So anyway, yeah, I think I touched on some of the things that I think really make this movie stand out. Its reliance on character humor and our finding humor in what they do, not set up.
Yeah, the characters drive the plot, not the other way around.
Exactly.
The plot doesn't just put them in situations for the characters to react in. They're driving the movie.
And like, I think the word I used before is really appropriate for this movie. It's efficient. It's very efficient in its use of time. So,
Very
anyway,
much.
That's it.
All right. Well, this is Josh. Thanks for listening. Good night.
This is Justin. Toodaloo.